Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, the High Guy Jacobs, and today we're tackling a topic that has been highly requested on the channel. Armaments. Which ones do we focus on? Which hones do we put on? Where are we putting them on where? And all the in-between. So today we are going to be diving into armaments and how to arm yourself in Doomsday Last Survivor. So first and foremost, this is going to start by asking ourselves, what are we trying to do? Now, I know this is the root of most questions that I ask, but that's really the underlying question. Are we looking to run rallies? Are we looking to run garrisons? Are we looking to fight in the field? Or are we looking to do a little bit of everything? So this is kind of where we're going to focus on. Now, for myself, I'm an infantry garrison player. I focus mostly on my infantry garrison line, trying to make my strongest line as strong as possible. So I'm putting all of my superbs, all of my hones, all of my guaranteed reds into making that line as strong as possible. It does mean that my other ones kind of fall a little bit to the side, so I'm not nearly as strong in fighting in the field, but I am stronger in garrison. I am fairly respectable in that sense. Obviously not as strong as some of the other players on here, but I have been able to handle off some, 6 million armament sets with my 4.6 million Boyd. So once you see what he does and once you see some of these hones, you'll understand a little bit more why he's able to do what he does. But a lot of it comes down to just being aware of what we're putting on, what hones we're putting on, what values we're putting on, what we're lucky enough to get, all that kind of stuff. So we will talk about that. Now, my best advice is going to be to try to make it as uniform of armaments as possible, because armaments, you have to realize, are super expensive to get. They're expensive to get. They're expensive to hone, right? So regardless of what level you're looking at getting them to, it's kind of a headache. Honing is by far probably the biggest headache in this entire game. Arguably the biggest headache-inducing thing in this entire game. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen videos of people taking, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hones to get rare hones on 5-star superbs or augmenters or devices, things like that. So it's definitely a headache for most. So if we can make it a little bit easier by giving you some of these tips, I'm hoping that'll help the community out a little bit. So let's dive in and let's look at some heroes, and we'll talk about what we're leaning in. Not heroes. Let's look at armament. Sorry. Now, I don't have any of the superb sets, but we can look down into the parts because I do have pieces for them. And we're not going to go a big deep dive into what each one does. I'm just going to give you the kind of broad spectrum on the armaments themselves. We will spend more time talking about the hones themselves, because that's the real bread and butter of this part, okay? So if you look at legendaries, obviously legendaries are going to be better than elites. If you've been on this channel before, if you've seen any of my videos before, I'm very, very staunch believer that purples and elites are only meant for farming, whereas legendaries and superbs are meant for fighting. If you're trying to fight with purples, chances are you're going to be struggling. I'm not saying you can't do it. Of course you can. Do whatever you want, but your trades will be worse than if you were to just concentrate on one march at a time. For example, my main line 4.66. Okay, this is my main garrison line. My main fighting line is going to be coming in at 3.5. I also have a 3.6, but this one's more statted for rallying. Right, so this one's more statted for rallying, so I've got some rally stats on here, so those aren't effective in the field or in garrison. So that 3.6 is a little bit misleading. This is what people don't understand. If you look at your hones, which is something we're going to dive into, and you have a whole bunch of hones that aren't effective for the field or for the fight that you're trying to do, your 3.6 or your 4.6 or your 5.5 or whatever it is isn't really a 5.5, right? And we'll of course, we'll go into this. But my belief wholeheartedly is that you should be working on getting marches up to 3.5 before you move on to the next set, right? So I've got my garrison set, so I can always garrison. I've got Stella, which I kind of use in the field or I rally with. I've got Bodala, which I fight in the field with. And then I'm working on a Dut in the field. And I won't almost ever put Marco and Aerie in the field. Almost ever. Because it's not near enough and it's just sending troops to the hospital to get... because it gets focused out first, it gets killed really quickly. It doesn't have time to do debuffing and buffing and stuff like that. A lot of that comes down to these armaments here. At 1 million, it's really not doing anything. Okay, so you want to work on your sets till they're about 3 million before you start bringing them in the field. Even 2.5 is a little bit less. A Dut gets burned out pretty quickly. But, I want to be able to have at least 2 or 3 sets to be able to fight in the field with. Okay, so you're looking at about that 3 million cap, 2.5, 3 million, 3.5 cap to be able to fight in the field. Now, granted, take this with a grain of salt because it does depend on what bracket you're in. If you're in low fearless and you're not having to deal with whales, then fighting at 2.5 might actually work. But if you're in the apex, you're looking at 7. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's a huge variance in that. So for my situation, fighting in the field to get decent trades, not good trades, but okay trades, is between 3 to 3.5 million. Okay, that's kind of what you're focusing on. All right? But that's all going to come down to hones. Now, when you look at what armaments to put on, yes, there's lots to choose from, but it's really kind of cookie cutter the same thing. If we look at the equipment, for example, the spike shotgun and the rhino gun shield are going to provide the same stats that the Uzi subgun and the German subgun do. Same stats as the Mark's crossbow and the compound crossbow. So it's not like there's very much variety between the sets. They kind of all do the same things. The only ones that are a little bit different are these ones, which I think honestly are totally wasteful. If you ever get the steel ice axe, demolish it immediately. You're never going to need it for the extra lethality against zombies. And the universal shovel, yes, it provides gathering speed, so you can put it on your gathering speed ones, but the purple ones are good enough until you build these up. I wouldn't put frags into these. And the leader ones are only good if you're working on a leader set, which is good now that we have Claude, so it's something else to be looking towards. But in those situations, I'll give you, again, my honest truth. I think you only keep your superbs for that. Let me kind of break this down for you, because I'm an infantry main, right? And I've kind of been open about this. If you look here, all of my stuff for infantry is what I'm working on. If I'm putting parts, it's going into infantry. If I'm putting, I can't even do refinement anymore. I'm refining on the other ones. That's fine. If it was equipment, it's going into infantry. If it's parts, it's going into infantry. If it's heroes, it's into infantry. If it's armaments, it's into infantry, right? Because if I go look at my rider set, because I don't have any good parts, because I got no parts in them, right? No refinement done, right? My heroes aren't very good. I don't have rider heroes. They're all ranged heroes, right? They're all ranged heroes. I mean, I've got Catherine, great, and I've got Cynthia, great, but I don't have. I mean, I've collected Rubina, but nothing done into her, right? So I have them, but not high enough to do anything with it. It's all done into infantry. That's what I've done, right? I'm heavy infantry. Even with my squads, right? I've got a million here. Am I down to a million? Oh, plus what's healing over here. Am I really down to only just over a million? Just 1.2 million? I gotta do some training. Anyways, that's just neither here nor there. Just a realization. But as an infantry main player, I'm fighting with infantry troops. My ranged are really bad. My riders are really bad. I'm relying on my riders in my team and my ranged in my team to be able to use those troops for rallies and garrisons. And other than that, I'm using just, I'm infantry. So what my brain said has gone is it said that elites are for farming, legendaries are for fighting, and superbs are what you're going to save for those other sets. Because you'll eventually fight with ranged and riders. Like in my mind, I'll eventually fight with ranged and riders, but when my ranged and riders are good enough, my superbs will be good enough with them. Do you see what I'm saying? Because everything else, there's so much other things that I have to upgrade, right? The only things that I'm kind of a little bit more balanced on, that I'm working on balancing, is the workshop, because there is some benefit to this, but that's a whole nother topic for another video. But when it comes to the armaments, it's still very much the same. So I'll dismantle all the other armaments that I get for ranged or riders, except for superbs. I will keep the superbs and let those grow, because by the time I'm ready to fight with them in the field, I will have superbs on them enough to be able to use. You see what I'm saying? They might not be full, but they'll be enough to be able to use. And I've started collecting superbs for the leaders as well. But you'll notice I don't have any of the other sets. I've only got sets for my infantry because those are the only sets that I'm working with. This will be different for you. If you are in a rider main, you will probably be focusing on riders. If you're a whale and you have options to all three, you're going to be working on all three. You'll probably have, you'll probably keep sets for everything. As a low spending player, I've always been a believer of hyper-focusing, taking all of your resources and putting it to be as effective as possible. And so for me, being as effective as possible means hitting as hard as I can as infantry. The riders and ranged will sort themselves out later. They're used for rallies and garrisons only. I'm going to use infantry in the field, and that's what I'm going to be good at. If you're looking at doing that with ranged, if you're looking at doing that with rider, if you're looking at doing it with that with a mix, totally up to you. But remember, the more that you add, the more the value or the more cost it's going to cost you. Not just time, but actual money too. That's always a factor here. Okay? So when we look at armaments, and we've talked a little bit about them, just remember that when you're looking at which one to decide, it's really kind of just personal preference. Whether you want to do flat attack, whether you want to do basic attack damage. I guess we should talk a little bit about what types of damage there are and how that's influenced. So you've got basic attack damage, you've got counter damage, and you've got skill damage. Okay, I've mentioned this in videos before, but we'll go over this again. You've got basic attack damage, counter damage, and skill damage. Okay, attack, like this here, attack will influence all three of those types a little bit, whereas this one will influence one of them a lot. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at 1.8% attack, trying to influence 3 different skills is going to have a lot less influence than increasing just the basic attack damage. So you can be a little bit more specific if you notice that your basic attack damage is not as much, or you don't have as much buff into basic attack, or maybe you have a ton of other buff into attack only, and adding an extra 2% attack isn't going to be nearly as beneficial as adding 2% basic attack damage. You see what I'm saying? So that's all personal depending on what you already have. But the easiest way to think about it is this. These ones are very specific. These ones are very general. Same thing. Very general with attack, specific with basic attack damage. Okay? Very general with attack, very specific with basic attack damage. Now, you might go basic attack damage on this one because with Chasey, because she hyper-focuses on basic attack damage and she gets a multiplier on her basic attack damage. Right? So this is going to multiplier on top of her basic attack damage. See what I'm saying? So there might be benefit to that. And there might be benefit to increasing your squad attack more for range because that'll influence more of your skill damage, right? And there may be a benefit to going basic attack on infantry because of the garrison capabilities. So there's some of those benefits, but really it's generalized versus specific. You want to get general attack or generalized defense versus specific attack or specific defense. If you notice you're getting hit a lot on skill damage, you might want to get some skill damage defense. You see what I'm saying? If you notice that you're getting hit on, or if you notice that you're not doing as much counter damage, you might want to add some of that counter damage. That's where some of that customization comes into play as you're starting to talk about honing and things like that and other armaments. But we don't want to dive too many into the specific armaments themselves because those are kind of intangible. It's great to have, and it's great to think about, but in reality, the only thing that really matters are the superb armaments. The legendaries are great, but they're only going to bring you to a maximum set of, I think, 5.5 is the highest you can get on a full legendary set, where I believe 7.5 is the highest that you get on a superb. And of course, those numbers are close. They're not going to be specific. I can't remember the exact numbers. People will correct me in the comments, I'm sure. But there is kind of a huge gap between legendaries and superbs, right? So If you didn't know, the superbs are the ones that have this weird border on them. And let's just take a look at the different options. So you've got the welding helmet. Max level welding helmet is going to provide counter damage negative 7.5%, whereas the stego helmet is going to provide a squad defense at 7.5%, right? If you look at the superb, it's going to add block plus squad damage reduction plus squad defense, overall troop squad defense. So it's much better, plus it also adds this 5th rare hone slot once you unlock it at 5. And I've got one here to show you, right, from the IE augmenter from the device. Once you get this up to 5 stars, it unlocks this last slot, which you have to hone for. Just like all the regular hones, you have to hone for this one too. But this one increases the squad attack by 18% when squad consists of the same troop type. So not only are you getting the increase of squad attack by 15% after using a skill for you and nearby enemies that lasts up to 3 seconds, but you're also just flat increasing the squad by 18%, which is basically 3, right? What is this? 5% for defense, 5% for attack if you wanted it. So it's like 3 buffs just for 1 rare. So they're super, super beneficial. I'm really close to getting the barbed machine gun here as well. I need 1 more copy of it. And then I'll be able to do that. But you start to get them all red, then you can unlock the rares, right? You get the rare hones, and they become much, much, much more valuable. This one, I believe, if we actually go and look at the might that this brings. At only 4 stars is 647,000, where at 5 stars, this one's bringing me 439,000, 460,000, right? So these 4 stars and 3 stars superbs are better than maxed out this. And yes, granted, this also includes the rare hones that come with it, right? But I believe superbs, these ones can get up to like 800 and something thousand for each of these. When you include their last rare hone, when you include the level up and things like that and getting them to red, I think they go up to like 800 and something thousand. So it's like 8, 16, 32, 60, 32, 60, plus the middle ones. So it's like 70. Yeah, it's like 73, 7.3, 7.5, I think is the max you can get on a superb, or a 7.2. Something like that. It's somewhere in that range, I'm sure. But again, if I'm wrong, correct me, because I'm pretty sure it's in and around that range, because I've been seeing a lot of people getting to those max 7.2 million, 7.3 million sets. But that's only going to come from a superb, right? That only comes from a superbs. So you're always going to be working on those superbs at the same time that you're working on the legendaries, but you're going to be using those superbs on your main line, right? Which I have been working on to get them onto my garrison line. And until then, working on the elites. The elites are good for field fighting. That's totally fine. But you're going to want those superbs because they're so hard to get and they're so hard to work on and they're so expensive. You're going to be working on probably one set, probably in your career. I think probably in your career. It'd be crazy if you started working on 2 without spending anything, especially. Now, that's going to talk about armaments, but we don't want to spend too much time about that because that's, by its own right, is kind of, like I said, it's kind of moot and irrelevant. You're going to put whatever the game is going to give you. You're going to work on whatever the game is nice enough to give you, and you're just going to be specific about it. Whether you want to do counter damage, or whether you want to do attack, whether you want to do basic attack damage taken, or whether you want to do defense, totally up to you based on your personal preferences. Put them on from there. However, when we talk about hones, this is where things get a little tricky. Because when you hone an attribute, okay, first and foremost, you're going to ask yourself, well, which ones do I want to focus on? Which ones do I not want to focus on? Which ones are going to be useful? What do they all mean? So let's go into this. Let's not look at the device first. Devices are a little different because they have their own thing. Let's look at just an armament. And let's click down here in the hone attributes and we'll look at what options we have. Now, when you hone through here, okay, when you click a regular hone or you click a rare hone through here, it's going to spit out one random, hold on. That was weird. It's going to spit out a hone somewhere in this value. Somewhere in this value. Okay? In any of these situations. So it could give out squad travel speed. It could give out squad block, rally skill damage, range squad lethality, infantry squad attack. It could give any of that and any of the values anywhere between. If you do a common, it can only give you up to a yellow. So, and I'm not sure exactly how far into the yellow, into gold it'll give you, but most of it'll be into blue and gold, or blue and green and purples. Sometimes you'll get a gold if you can. Advanced will give you all the way up to red, which is max. Red is the highest value you can get in that skill. Right? If I look at infantry squad attack, right? Infantry squad attack goes up to 5%, 5%. Squad attack 5%, 5%. Defense 5%, 5%. Block 65, block 65. Now, when I asked originally, we asked, what are you trying to do? Rallies, garrison, or field fighting? And there's a reason for that, because if we look at the hones, there are some specific ones. We've got, obviously, the specific, right, infantry, rider, ranged, attack, defense, lethality, block, pardon me. But then we've got things like rally basic damage, garrison basic attack damage, rally counter, basic counter, rally attack, garrison attack, rally skill, garrison skill, overall squad attack, defense, block lethality. And you're going to kind of ask yourself, well, what does this all mean? Well, remember, we talked about 3 types of damage. You've got basic attack damage, counter damage, skill damage. Basic attack damage is triggered when you engage with somebody else. So if we both have troops on the field and I attack you, I'm attacking you with basic attack damage. If you in turn choose to fight me, so now we're fighting each other, we are both dealing basic attack damage, and in turn both dealing counter damage. Okay? If I attack you and you run away, I'm dealing basic attack damage, you're dealing counter damage. But you're not dealing basic attack damage, and I'm not dealing counter damage. You see how that works? So counter damage is only there against the basic attack damage being done. Okay? Now, once you understand this, and then skill damage is dealt against a direct target. So you have to be targeting them to deal skill damage. Right? So I'll be dealing basic attack and skill and counter. And if you're attacking me, you'll be doing basic attack, skill, and counter. But if you're running away, you'll only be dealing skill, counter damage. You won't be doing basic and skill. Okay? Does that make sense? So, when we start to equate all of that, we can start to see how this stuff is going to influence the fight. So if we put on rally basic attack damage, that means that during a rally, right? During a rally, we'll increase the basic attack damage being done in that rally. This also means if you use this armament, which has a rally basic attack damage, on a hero that doesn't fight in a rally, let's say you put this on your field fighting hero, you will not get this hone buff of 6% on your basic attack damage because you are not involved in a rally. Okay? You are not leading the rally. Do you see what I'm saying? So when it says rally basic attack damage, it means that you are getting this basic attack damage when your hero is leading the rally. Okay? If it says garrison basic attack damage, that means that you're getting this basic attack damage when your hero is leading the garrison. Okay? It's not to defend against garrisons or to defend against rallies or anything like that. It's giving you what it says it does. Okay, there's no kind of reading through the lines. So if it says infantry squad lethality, it's giving your infantry squad more lethality. If it says rally attack, it's giving your rally more attack. Okay? So that's once we understand how these hones actually work on the armaments, we can start to piece it together a little bit more on what's going to be better for us. So once we start to see all of this variety and all of this chance possibility, for example, we can start to ask ourselves, well, what's going to be more important on our stats? And sometimes you're going to just be lucky enough to get stats. Sometimes you're going to have to work for them. The rares you're going to have to hone for. That's how it is. But it also comes down to what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do garrison, there is value to having attack, defense, block lethality, and then some garrison specific hones. There is validity to, because the garrison specific, if you look at the hones, for example, the garrison specifics are actually pretty nice. Doing 6% rally counter damage is pretty nice. Additional 6% on your basic attack damage is pretty nice, compared to only 5% for attack, which if you think about it, 5% attack won't provide 6%. So these ones are actually quite valuable. Some of them are, right? The counter damage, your garrison counter damage is important. Your rally counter damage is important. Your rally attack or garrison squad attack, these ones would be important. Skill damage and garrison skill damage is less important. So if you are going to put your rallies and your rallies and garrison hones on, you are going to go with rally counters and rally attack versus the other ones. And that's only because basic attack is only being done when you're fighting someone directly. So I guess it wouldn't really matter. You can do that one as well because you're going to be doing basic attack to everybody or just to one target that you're fighting directly. But the reason why it's not going to be as beneficial is because here's the thing. If I'm, and it's hard to do this without kind of drawing this out. If I am being attacked, right, at my home, and I'm being attacked by 3, let's say I'm being swarmed by 5 targets, I'm only dealing counter damage to 4 of the 5 targets. I'm dealing basic attack and skill damage to 1 main target, and then I'm dealing counter damage to the other 4 targets, right? So if I increase my basic attack damage, I'm only increasing the basic attack damage that I'm technically doing to the 1 main target. If I increase the counter damage, I'm increasing the damage that I'm doing to all 5, because I'm still dealing counter damage to the main target as well. If I increase the attack, I'm increasing the counter damage, the basic attack damage, and the skill damage altogether. But you're going to see more impact if by increasing the counter damage and then over the attack, because attack is going to influence all three, whereas influencing more counter, where you're dealing more counter damage as a garrison or rally or what have you, just means that you're going to get more influence on those counters. So really, you're going to go, if you're doing rallies or garrison sets, you're going to go with rally counter damage, or rally attack, or garrison counter damage, garrison attack, and then block lethality, things like that. Or just straight infantry squad attack or range squad attack, what have you. Now, if you wanted to do squad attack, you can, but you'll notice that there's a difference. So like infantry squad attack is providing 5%, right? Infantry squad attack provides up to 5%. The specific ones provide up to 5%, whereas if you look at the Hones, the ones that are unspecific are 4.5%. So if you're doing a leader set, that might be an influence so that you can do march mixed troops and not have to worry. You can throw anything into it. That would be okay. But you are getting a decrease in that skill or on that stat because it is overall strats, okay? So, again, when it comes to rallies and garrisons, we've kind of covered that. You're looking at counters or attack. Don't necessarily focus so much on basic attack damage or skill damage. I mean, it's good, yes. Having additional skill damage is great, but you're already getting a lot of skill damage from a lot of other things. The additional 4% might not be as beneficial as 6% counter or 6% rally attack. Depending on the math, depending on what you have a lot of. But the biggest question is what else to put on here, right? What am I putting on? Because there's lots to choose from. It's very simple. They give you a lot of fluff, though it's a lot simpler than what they make it seem, okay? Because first off, there's a bunch of gathering ones, there's a bunch of zombie ones. You're never going to use the zombie ones, so don't ever worry about that. And the gathering ones, you're only going to hone on your gathering heroes, which we'll talk about, which I'll talk about their hones, their armaments here at the end. But it really just comes down to what are you trying to do. If you're trying to build a garrison, for example, that doesn't have to run, doesn't have to move, doesn't have to do anything, you're going to do a lot of attack, a lot of defense, a lot of block, and a lot of lethality. And people ask, what is block and lethality? Well, it's very simple. The higher the lethality, the higher the damage dealt. When your lethality is greater than the enemy's block, additional damage will be dealt. So if I have, the more lethality I have, the more attack it does, or the more damage it does. And if I have more lethality than your block, I get a multiplier. And it works the same on block. So if I have a higher block, it means that I receive less damage. If my block is higher than your lethality, my squad receives less damage. So there's a damage demodifier or a damage debuff, right? So stacking block and lethality is good. Stacking attack and defense is good. But that's really what it's going to be. Attack, defense, block, lethality. That's it. If you're going to do a rally, you might want to do travel speed to try to stop people from swarming you in the field. But I'm a firm believer that every stat that you use that's a travel speed is one you're taking away from damage. And unless you're building a troop set that is specific to like hitting and running in the field or hunting farms or running across the map or like any of that kind of stuff or like collecting cement and AR, like you're trying to be a specialist, to me, I'm not a big fan of travel speed. I wouldn't use it. I have one that's on my pants. I believe I got 2 of them. Red pisses me off. Because the truth is, even here, with an extra 15% squad travel speed, Bodal's not faster than anybody. It's not like he's super, super, super speedy zooming around. So it's like you need to have more than 1 or 2. To make infantry fast, to make... I mean, riders are already fast. If you're looking to, you're taking away damage from range, which they already have, so they're already glass cannon. But to make them faster, to take away their damage, it just doesn't make sense to me. Because you're not going to outrun riders, right? I don't think you're going to outrun riders. It doesn't make sense. Because riders are naturally faster. And even with the buffs, riders get speed buffs too. So unless you're building them for speed, it doesn't make sense to me. Again, personal preference though. If you want to build them for, speed to go run in the field and kill farmers, then do you. But in my opinion, every hone that's for travel speed is one going away from damage. Okay? So when we look at hones, And we're looking back at these again. You've got your specific attack and defense for your infantry, rider, or ranged. And this is simply to buff those stats for those troops. Okay? So as an infantry player, it wouldn't make sense for me to put riders and range stats on here. Wouldn't make sense for me to put rider or range stats here. Wouldn't make sense for me to put rider squad, range squad, or blocker lethality. Wouldn't make sense for any of that. So I'm only looking at infantry squad block, infantry squad lethality, infantry squad attack, infantry squad defense. Or if you get lucky enough to get a squad attack, squad defense, squad lethality, squad block, you can keep those until you're absolutely at the top, right? Like I wouldn't try to hone a squad if this squad block was just squad block, not infantry squad block, and I was 60, I wouldn't try to hone that out right now. I'd hone out the other golds first. You know what I'm saying? Like this would come down to the last one that you'd be honing out to try to get those specific ones out. But again, that's depending on what you're doing. Again, you're not going to do the oil gathering. This is all done for gathering, the 4 gathering speeds that you'll set up. Same with squad load is just for gathering. You won't do zombies probably at all, and then travel speed is entirely personal. So although they give you a lot to choose from, it's really, really, really not that complex. You're just putting on, these effects don't count. It's the ones that are over here that you have to make sure we're into this section here. Right, putting your hones into these, and these ones are directly attributed to the stats of those troop types. So it's infantry squad will receive 5% attack. Infantry squad, it receives 5% attack. Infantry squad defense receives 5% defense. Infantry squad receives 65% or 65 block. Okay. If you look at something like this, for example, so here's a prime example. Stella gets used in the field or in rallies, so she's got a red counter garrison, 6%. It's doing absolutely nothing, so I can get rid of that one and put anything else on it in place of that, because that's doing nothing for me fighting in the field, right? So having garrison on her means nothing. So that now at 3.6 or whatever she is, she never uses this, so it's never being triggered, so technically she's like a 3.4, right? You see what I'm saying? This becomes a thing for people to realize how effective their heroes actually are. Okay? So you just want to be kind of, focused on that. I look at the same thing here. I've got squad block, squad lethality. Those will be the first ones that I get rid of. Well, the gold ones, obviously. And I do have garrison basic attack damage, which isn't bad. And this will be the next one that I get off of the superb set when we're thinking about the bottom of the superbs. And when people ask, well, which hone do I get rid of first? Which hone do I get rid of first? It's very, very simple. Look at your set that you're working on. Okay, look at the set that you're working on and literally just pick the worst hone out of all of them. Hone that one to something better. Once it's better, go to the next worst hone. Hone that to something better. Once it's better, go to the next worst hone. Hone that to something better. So it's not like it's which one's more important. It's whichever one's giving you the least amount of value. Right? Get rid of the golds first. Once you have them reds, then you can concentrate reds. How do you get reds? Tons of rare hones, or, I'll give you a hint, the honing challenge. I'm not sure how often it comes out because the schedule is kind of shaky. Once it's 1 week, and once it's 2 weeks, and once it's 3 weeks. I don't really know. But save your hones, all your rare hones, for the honing challenge. Because if you use 150 hones, 300 hones, 550 hones, do you also get one at 75 or 100? I think you also get one at 100. I think you get one at 100 and then 150 and then 300 and then 550 and then 1,000. If you save up hones for that, you get what are called rare hone canisters. These are guaranteed red hone canisters. Okay? These guaranteed red hone canisters are going to give you a red hone for one rare hone. So one rare hone will automatically give you a red. It's not automatically going to give you the red that you want, but if you like, the reason I've been able to get this gun the way that it is because of those guaranteed red hones. Right? You use the event, save them up until you have at least 300 rare hones before using any. Save them up for the rare hone event. Use them during that event. Get your guaranteed red hones. And if you save up like 1,000 to use 1,000 at once, you have a chance to rank, which provides you with guaranteed rare hone attributes, 5th slot hones. So instead of spending, like for me, and I'll be the first one to tell you in regards to this device, I do have the rare hone. Do you know how many hones it took me to get here? Over 700. So if I had known that and saved them, you know what I'm saying? There's lots. I'm kicking myself because of it, because it hurts. It does. Honing is a headache. But if you save up those hones and use them, you can get guarantees, which allows you to, you know, be efficient on those rare hones. Because that's the biggest part about this game. It's so hard to get good hones done. Okay? So, with all of this, we've basically gone through top to bottom in regards to hones. It's kind of simple. I keep clicking on the wrong thing. It's kind of simple. You're going to work on what the game is going to be nice enough to give you. Okay? You're going to work on what the main attributes within those hones are. Whether it's, if you're an infantry like me, you're looking at infantry squad attack, infantry squad defense, infantry squad block, infantry squad lethality. Okay? If you're working on a garrison set, you're going to be looking at garrison counter damage, garrison attack. If you're looking at rally, rally counter damage, rally attack. If you're looking at, we did want to talk, before we end up, we do want to talk about the armaments for gathering, because there are specific armaments for gathering. Okay? So if we look at our gathering heroes, let's look at our oil girl first. Okay? I almost forgot. I'm glad you guys reminded me. Thank you very much. But we look at Maxine. So here's the thing. There are specific attributes, there are specific armaments that provide the gathering attributes to our heroes that we want to increase our gathering. Because this game is as much a farming game as it is fighting, right? So you've got this jacket here, which provides squad load by itself. So I'm going to put one of those on each one of my gathering heroes, right? So I can provide squad load to each one of my gathering heroes. That means that they only have to send out less cars to bring back more stuff. Right? So less stuff in the field, less risk. And then on those, I can hone speed, right? Travel speed. I can hone gathering speed, or I can hone more squad load. Now, this is the only time when I would actually suggest travel speed. Put it on your farmers. Farmers need to help their, chance getting away if you're getting, attacked out in AR, trying to farm an alliance, a base warehouse, and you need to run. Put squad travel speed, and you can stack as much as you want. Because remember, you can put 2 hones, 2 of one type of hone on here. I can put 2 oil gatherings, right? 2 travel speeds, 2 oil gatherings, 2 hones, whatever you want, right? You can do a 2 copy of each hone onto the attributes, as many spots as you have. So knowing that, putting travel speed on these ones isn't bad. I would go 2 gathering speeds, 1 squad load, 1 traveling speed on each of the armaments that you can put on them. Right? So the jacket by itself provides squad load, so I'm going to put 1 on each of my gathering heroes. The backpack, yes, it provides wood gathering speed, but it also provides squad load. So I'm going to put a backpack on each one of my 5 farmers. It just so happens that I actually combined it all together into my strap case first. Because of the wood gathering speed, I haven't put it on the rest yet. Because, I'm looking at just squad load, and it's good, yes. But ideally, once I have this 5, I'll put a strap case on the other 3. So then I'll start working on those from there. Okay? So you can increase as much squad load as you can, and then give you more slots for gathering speed. Right? As much gathering speed as you can. The pants are specific to oil gathering. They provide oil gathering only. So I'm going to put this on my oil gathering leader, as well as a leader who can gather oil. This is the leader of my 5th march, my 5th gathering march, because my 5th gathering march can typically gather everything. I'm going to put every type of armament on him that you can for gathering, so that it'll, so that if he has to go gather oil, he'll have that same booth gathering oil than he does gathering food or gathering wood or whatever. Again, being smart with gathering, because gathering is important. Okay? The boots belong to farming food, so that's where I'm giving it to her. Now, you can, again, give this to everybody because it provides travel speed, so you can give the boots to every one of your heroes as well, which I'll probably do once I get this to 5. I'll give them to everybody to provide that squad travel speed, and then obviously more gathering speed for the specific resource. The shovel is overall gathering speed, so I'm going to provide 1 for every ranged, or for every hero. Pardon me. The goggles here, the stealth goggles, are specific to steel, so I'm going to give those to my steel gathering speed hero, as well as the hero who can gather steel. And then everyone is going to get one of these devices. They're going to get one of these high-performance motors because it provides gathering speed, extra resources, squad load. And here, like I said, you can put food gathering speed on there twice, steel gathering speed and travel speed, wood gathering speed. I can put any kind of gathering speed on this one, oil gathering speed and squad load. And then every time I take my high-performance motor that I make every week, and then I'm going to dismantle that. So I'll actually go do that right now. So you see that I'm not full of shit. I'll take the one that I actually just made and I'll dismantle it. It's only 50. It provides you 50, but guess what? That's 50 that I didn't have before. And I'm starting to get low on these now from all the ones that I've broken down. So we want to make sure that we are getting as many of those honing chips and as many of those fragments and stuff that we can. But that's really what it comes down to, guys. And then on those hones, like I said, for the gathering hones, you're going to be putting on the specific gathering speed, load, and travel speed. And that would be the hones that I would put on your gathering ones. Okay? Don't use your high-performance motors for fighting. Again, I'm a staunch believer. It's not worth it. You're definitely missing out on the speed buff and the resources, the gathering speed buff and the resources, and every hone that you put into this for fighting is a hone that you're wasting for something else. And people can say, well, I use the blues for a lot, but trust me, when you're trying to hone out 5 specific sets for gathering, you're not going to have enough blues. I use tons of blues already, and I'm not even to where I want on my farming sets either, because you got a long way to go. So be smart with your resources, be kind with your resources, like I've always said in game. Play smart, grow strong, stay lifted. It's all part of the mentality we have at Grop, okay? But that's going to cover it for this video. We've talked all about armaments. We've talked about honing. We've talked about which hones to put on, which ones not to put on. I hope you guys have enjoyed as much as I have. If you liked the video, click the like button because it really does help the algorithm. Sorry. My mouth just stopped there. It helps the algorithm, okay? So if you can click the like button, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share it with your friends. Fill out the notification bell so you get notified when we drop new videos. And if you can, click the join button and become a member today. Join the community. Other than that, folks, love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time, stay lifted.